R-A-D-Y. Jackson, Jackson.
Your date of birth?
April 15th, 1955.
And your address?
It's 941 East 25th, apartment number 2.
And how long have you lived in Casper?
I've been in Casper since 1972.
Where were you born, Grady?
I was born in Grenada, Mississippi.
And your parents' names, please?
My mother's name is Newtel, N-U-T-E-L. Dozier, D-O-C-H-E-R. I hope.
Father?
Wilkes, W-I-L-S-K. Jackson.
Where is Grenada, Mississippi?
Where is it? It's about 100 miles from Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay. So you started school down in Mississippi?
No.
No?
No, I started school in a railroad town. It's called Bitter Creek, which is no more. Now you go by the sign and it's just Bitter Creek Road.
Bitter Creek, where?
Bitter Creek, Wyoming.
Oh, down Rock Springs area?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I used to teach down there.
In Bitter Creek?
Yeah, when you said that, no, I used to teach in Rock Springs, but
Rock
when you
Springs.
said that, I went,
Okay. Yeah.
What brought your family from Mississippi to Bitter Creek, Wyoming?
The railroad. My dad got a job on the railroad.
Do you have other siblings then that came with you to Mississippi?
I do.
What you came in for?
Okay, I'll start from the oldest, which was James Jackson, Homer Jackson, Leroy, he's deceased now. John, Ray, okay. Some of these were born here in Wyoming. I was the last one born in Mississippi. The rest of them were born, let's see.
Where is your placement then between James, Homer, Leroy, John, and Ray? Where?
I'm between John and Ray.
John.
Yeah. From me on down, from Ray on down was born in Wyoming.
Okay. What year was James born, do you know?
James, it's a hard one. Born
No, that's okay. We're just.
I'm trying to figure it out here. He would be about 8 years, I believe, older than I am.
So, you guys moved here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 of you. Leroy had passed away before you moved here.
No, he passed away. No, it's been about 4 years. 5 years. 4 or 5. He passed away here in Casper.
Okay, siblings after you then, Grady.
Okay, after me there was Ray. You got that one, I think. Ella May. And Brenda. That should be 8 of us.
Okay. Where's James now?
James is here in Casper.
What does he do?
He works with my brother Homer. He owns a detail shop here. He works with him.
What detail shop is that?
HJ's. Beach Street.
And John?
John, he's here. Yeah, he just recently started a new job, construction. I forget the name of the company.
Okay. Ray is here also.
Yeah.
LMA?
And my brother is a pastor. I mean, he's a minister, raised Reverend Jackson. He's a licensed minister.
Is he with the church now, or?
He's the associate pastor at Christchurch Baptist Church, same church.
LMA then?
She's here. She works at Parkway Plaza.
And Brenda?
She's in Rock Springs. So we're back to Rock Springs.
Okay, let's go back to Bitter Creek, Wyoming then.
All right.
Your father's working for the railroad there.
Yes.
Okay.
We go to the railroad. We're going to school there.
At Bitter Creek?
At Bitter Creek. I think it was Bitter Creek, Wamstead, or Desert School. I think that's it.
What were your experiences like in the school there?
Actually, they were good. I wish my children could go to a school like that. It was only like about a community of about 50 people, and everybody worked for the railroad. Basically, they lived there except for the teachers. Teachers, and they worked at the school, of course, and it was like in middle school, when I was 8th grade.
So you're bused into Rock Springs to the high school there? You graduated from there?
No, I graduated from Kelly Wolf.
You did?
Yeah, we moved here in 72, I graduated in 75.
So school years down in the Rock Springs area were fine and...
Yeah, they were fine. There was, of course, back in those days, there was quite a bit of racial tension. But fortunately, it wasn't that bad where we were at. I mean, everybody was real close. I mean, we had some name calling just from, I'd say, smart-aleck kids. I don't think that anybody was really prejudiced or anything back there. I mean, we were all pretty close, and pretty much all our dads worked for the railroad, and everybody knew everybody, and it was pretty good community.
I loved Rock Springs when I come there. I thought it was just a great town. Everybody was really friendly, you know. So, what brought you up to Casper then?
My mom and dad divorced, and well, we actually moved from Bitter Creek. Actually moved to a couple different railroad communities before we actually moved to Rock Springs, and of course. Rock Springs, living there, my mom and dad separated and they got divorced. And we actually moved to Casper when my mother remarried. Her husband was drove truck, he was a truck driver, and he was based out of here.
And what was his name?
His name was Johnny Smith.
So when you came here in 1972, then you just went directly to Kelly Walsh?
Yes.
What was life like at Kelly Walsh?
Oh, it was pretty, it was somewhat different because we had, came from a smaller place and there was a lot more kids, and I was kind of scared at first, but it was pretty easy adjusting and getting used to it after, because we got involved with church and I got to know some people and made some friends, and it was easier after I got to know some people.
Christchurch Missionary Baptist Church?
At the time we were actually Second Baptist. We were in a smaller building, and we were Second Baptist Church. We actually moved and changed the name.
What kinds of activities were you involved in at KW?
I went out for basketball, but I ended up quitting the team because I missed a practice and coach cut me and put me on the B team. So I quit and then got a job. I actually went to work, and I worked from then on until I graduated, basically.
Where'd you work?
When was my first job? I don't think it was. No. Yeah, those jobs came later. Most of my high school, I actually think I started at the UPS in high school. When they first started over here in North Casper at that Salvation Army building, which is now Preach Unto Him Jesus Church. I started over there washing their vehicles for them in high school.
Where did you live when you were at Kelly?
I lived with my mom, where she still lives today, at 1616 Farnham.
Any other experiences at Kelly Walsh? Did you experience any discrimination or anything like that there, racial tension?
There was some. It wasn't bad, because back in those days, actually, there was quite a few. There was more black kids going to school there then than there is now. Because there was quite a few other large black families here at the time, and so there was quite a few up there. It wasn't bad. I mean, there was some, but not. It wasn't that bad.
What other families at that time?
There was the other Jackson family. Don Jackson, his kids were there. Clifford Tomlin was there. John Moore. Who else was there?
The only reason we ask is we're trying to cover as many families as we can.
Griffins. Well, they may have came after us because they were really young yet. Deborah.
I was going to
His
ask you.
sister was there. She was younger. Actually, I think she was like a sophomore when I was graduating. And,
Downings?
yeah, Downings was over there.
You heard about Mike Devereaux, didn't you know where he is now?
I heard he was playing some league.
Well, he was playing with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they demoted him to a AAA farm team in Albuquerque, and he failed to show up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I felt real sorry for him when I heard that.
Yeah, he was doing so good there for a while.
Yeah. What kind of church activities then in Kelly Walsh years?
Oh, we did a lot of singing all over the place, and we did some outreach, missionary like work in the community, and gosh.
You're a musician. When did that start?
Oh, that actually started when I was very young. My father was a musician also. He played lead and rhythm guitar. He had his own blues band at one time in his life when I was a baby, actually, young, very young. And my uncle, my mom's brother, he was also a guitar player, and he and my dad played together a lot. And my father is actually who inspired me to play. He used to buy me the guitars when I was very young. He inspired me, and I kind of stayed with it. And I got in my teen years, actually about Kelly Walsh time, that's when I decided I wanted to play bass guitar. I bought me one, and I've been playing bass since then. Many years.
Okay, what about after high school graduation then?
After high school graduation, I might say I was involved, I forgot to mention that I was involved in the Explore Cadet program. And I tested, they gave us a test, and I tested in the law enforcement area, as was my interest. So I was an Explorer Cadet down at the police department for like 3 years.
During the high school years?
Yeah, during my high school years. And then that's when I met my oldest son's mom. She was a police officer there. She was actually the first black and the first female officer at Casper PD.
And what's her name?
Her name is Alona Boggus.
How do you spell her first name?
A-L-O-N-A.
And the last name again?
B-O-G-G-E-S. Boggus.
Okay.
Actually, I still have her pictures down in the academy in their group. I guess she went down there to apply for a secretarial job, and she did so good on her testing, I guess the chief, which was the pay at the time, asked her if she was interested in becoming a police officer. And I guess she was like one of the first, in not only in Casper, but in the state of Wyoming, I believe.
She's still there?
No, she's in Flint, Michigan. That's where my son graduated from high school. My oldest.
And what's his name?
His name is Sean Dale Jackson.
AJWN?
Yes.
Ludale?
Udale.
Udale. And what year was he born?
He's 2177.
So, you graduate from Kelly Walsh, then what?
Graduated from Kelly Walsh. I was working for UPS. At this time I was a supervisor over the part-timers on the afternoon sort. And so I was doing that, and then they talked me into becoming a package car delivery driver. So then I did that, and I had an accident with one of their vehicles, and there was a little discrepancy, disagreement in whether or not I should keep my job. It was my first accident. Anyway, I ended up losing my job. They was going to suspend me. Union steward didn't think that they should. It was my first accident, and we had the hearing and stuff. And anyway, I lost my job.
That's a big mess.
Yeah. And after that, let's see, what did I do? I never went to college. I always seemed to get into working. I thought about college, wanted to go to college, but I'd always get into some job or another. And I think I got into fast foods after. No, I worked construction for a while after UPS, and then me and my brother that's just over me, John, we moved back to Rock Springs for a while, and I worked as a security guard at the power plant down there for a while. Then I came back to Casper and worked several fast foods. I was in fast foods for about 9 years. I got tired of that, and I always had my stepfather. He was a driver, like I told you, and I always wanted to be to drive big rigs. So I went to a truck driving school in '88 and got out of that, and I got a job driving truck over the road for, I think Davis Transport was my first company I worked for. I did that for about a year for them. And they kept me on the road a lot, and I was married to Josh's mom. Got married to Josh's mom, and I didn't get to see, she was a baby, didn't get to see them very much because I was on the road a lot. I got bored, tired with that, so I quit that company. They wanted to keep me out there 7 weeks at a time without going home, so I left that company. Then I went to work for another company, Rushmore Transport, another trucking outfit, and of course I was gone a lot again, and decided I didn't want to do that anymore. But then I worked for another company. It's called Transport Technology. They delivered like it was a driverly company. They had drivers that delivered buses to different cities and trucks. I did that for about 3 years. I did that, and also I worked for the troopers in the summertime during the summer months.
Josh has shared some of those stories.
Gave me a chance to take a couple of my boys with me.
And see some cities, huh?
Yeah, and see some cities. Yeah, I've seen a lot of cities.
Yeah.
I enjoy driving. I don't like being with my kids that long, but I like driving. I like traveling. I did see a lot of cities. I think probably on all the major interstates in the U.S.
Can I ask you about your marriages and your children so we can have that recorded?
You may. Before I married, actually, I forgot about my first marriage. It was pretty much, let's see, I married when I was in my early 20s. I married and had 3 kids. But I married Rosalind Jackson. I mean Rosalind Gibson. That was her name, out of Rock Springs.
Yeah, the 3 children.
Grady Jr., Talisha, and Desiree.
Is Rosalind still in Rock Springs? Or
No, Rosalind lives here.
She goes to our school.
Huh?
Grace goes to our school.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And Grady's just getting ready to graduate, huh?
Yeah, Grady's getting ready to graduate.
Those years pass by,
Yes,
don't
do.
they?
And Desi's 6th grade, isn't she?
No, she's
5th grade, that's right.
Okay, so happy to Rosalind then.
Oh, Rob and then that's when I married. I married Shannon Mayo.
Shannon what?
Mayo.
You spell it last name.
M-A-Y-O. Mayo.
Neil, okay.
Mayonnaise. We had these 2, Joshua Jackson, Angela Jackson.
Angela, how old are you?
9.5.
And I think driving probably a lot to do with my marriage to their mom, and didn't work out. And I had my youngest son, which was Corey, before out of wedlock actually, and then a few years later I just tried to make it work with his mom. I married his mom, which was Gloria Henderson. Yeah, they were in school when I was up there. I mean, Hendersons.
12.
Nika.
Okay.
Yeah, their mom.
And Corey's how old?
Corey,
8.
no, he just turned 9 actually.
No,
He just turned 9 in April.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That covers all the children now, right?
That's all the children.
Okay.
I hope.
After transport technology, then?
Oh, transport technology. Oh, okay. Now I started work for mine. I worked for troopers off season, and then and also I started doing some driving for them, some special runs. They leased their buses out, and I drove for them. And also, that's when I started working for Action Cargo Express. And I've been with them for like about 8 years. And that's my day job. And I started working for FedEx on Grady's birthday, Grady Jr., which was August 8th of 1995. So I've been with them almost 3 years.
Josh told us today that you might be transferring.
Yeah, I bid on some other jobs because I wanted to drive for them full time and just work one job. These jobs, 2 jobs, really can take up all your time.
Grady, could you tell us about your experiences in general in Casper, both the positive and the negative as an Afro-American man here?
Okay, well, I have, there's a few things that, that bothered me about Casper. One being that it seems like we was always behind, like when they made the Martin Luther King, I mean everybody else accepted it. The federal government made it a holiday, and most of the states went along, made it a holiday, and we were like one of the last states to want to do anything with that. And actually, so we started a group here called the Equality Coalition, which was pretty much headed up by Aaron Phillips, Reverend Aaron Phillips. And we worked, that was one of the main things on our agenda, was to get that day recognized.
Who else, can you name some more people who are involved with the Equality Coalition?
Mel Hamilton.
Nick Murdoch.
Nick Murdoch, yes, Nick Murdoch. Shara Larry. Carrie Hunt. I'm trying to think of some of the originals that were there. I think of Carla came, she started later, but she's in, I guess she was involved later on.
So what kinds of activities does the group do to get that holiday passed in the state finally?
Well, we talked to some of the state officials and city officials, and we did marches, and we had banquets, and we made it be known our feelings on it. We had news, press interviews and this type of thing, and just voiced our opinion on it, and tried to lobby with our officials and let them know how we felt about it and how important it was to us.
How long did it take you?
It was a struggle and a battle, especially with the school board. I mean, they really didn't want to do that. I mean, we like had a in season or whatever those days off they had right around that time, and we just tried to get them to switch those days around. They didn't want to do that either, but I don't know, I'd say it takes a couple years or so.
It takes a while, change really does. Even only 22% of the teachers voted to serve it, you know. That's
Yeah.
why I think projects like this are so important, to raise everybody's awareness.
Yeah.
Equality Coalition's kind of disbanded now then, hasn't it?
Yeah, we haven't haven't even been meeting like we used to. I don't know, I don't think that they're really active anymore. I've been working 2 jobs, so I haven't had a chance to go to meetings if they've had them. And I mean, nobody has even contacted me or told me about it. The only time they really try to get together is around Martin Luther King's birthday to, do the march, and basically that's all they do.
And we discovered that they weren't doing it this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think with Reverend Young now and Reverend Watson and Reverend Harris here, I think you're going to see.
Yeah, I think we'll have a march.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see the coalition start up again and work on some other issues.
such as?
No. Oh, I don't know. Minorities in the workforce, and especially some of the local city jobs and these type of things.
Hey, other experiences?
Hmm. Such as,
Well, some of the things, since we're covering this 80-year history, have you ever in your life experienced any discrimination? Restaurants, housing, employment, any of those things? You could
Actually,
be specific about it.
when we first moved here, in the area where my mom lives, there was some discrimination because we, in the neighborhood at the time, were the first blacks to move in that neighborhood, and there were some people that actually moved out of the neighborhood, and there was some small vandalism done to our house, and those kind of things, and like nasty notes and things like that.
Left at your house.
Yes,
Did they buy that house?
yes.
No problems with the realtor or any of those?
Well, they informed them that, we was the first time moving in there, and there might be they said there might be some tension. I guess they told me, the realtor actually told my mom and stepdad that when they was trying to buy it, when they bought it.
You wouldn't remember who the realtor was, would you?
Yeah, I sure don't. I don't know.
I'd be interested to know if it's Chevrolet. You might ask her for it.
Okay.
I called her and wanted to interview her, but she wouldn't do it, so. Yeah.
Hmm.
What about you in employment?
Yeah, I guess in some jobs there was, but I think Wyoming as a state is pretty good about hiding. It's not so. It's subtle. Racism here is subtle. You don't. It's not real outspoken here, but you can feel it and you can see it if you're really looking for it. It is there, but they don't want to have the name of being uh, bigot or racial state, and they do good at trying to stifle and keep people that are outspoken about it. Like when we have the skinheads ordeal here, I think they spoke out and they did a good thing. They handled that quickly, and they've been good about that. But racism here has not been near as out front or as in some of the other, well, especially southern states. And although I've dealt with it, but it's been on such a low level that I really can't say that it's all that bad.
If you were to describe the subtle racism, could you give us an example of what that would be? By the way, you're certainly not the first person to say this to us.
Well, like some jobs, I went to interview for some jobs, and they tell you that well, we'll call you, and I've actually interviewed for some jobs that I know that I was really overqualified for, and I didn't get them. And And then I've actually, did kind of like a follow-up on it, and the person they hired, I know they weren't as qualified as I was for that job, but yet they got it. I've experienced that, and in restaurants around here, actually, I can tell you, I was in Buffalo. I was passing through Buffalo one time, Wyoming, and I was with their mom, and their mother is a white lady. And I was with their mom, and we sat down in this restaurant, and none of the waitresses would even acknowledge that we were there. I mean, we were sitting there waiting for one of them to come over and bring us water and ask us, or say something to us. And we sat there for like 10, 15 minutes, and nobody, these waitresses kept walking around and doing stuff, and nobody came over. And we got up and walked out, and stuff like that.
Have you experienced any of that restaurant stuff here in Casper?
Not to the point where they didn't come at all, but I have felt some tension, yes.
What about when you're shopping? We've heard from more than one person again that there's always that feeling that they're following you around, afraid you're going to steal something.
Yeah, I've experienced that. I mean, you get so used to that it's just like, yeah, I know you're watching, and no, I'm not a thief. I'm not going to take anything. And you just get used to it. I mean, it's just something you expect to happen, I guess. I think it's kind of funny to me sometimes because it's still today in some stores here, especially, and a lot has to do with how you dress and how your outward appearance is. They go by that. I mean, they just look at you, and if you're not dressed the way they think that you should be dressed, then they have the old security in the store following you around or whatever. And that stuff you still see today. You still feel that.
Sounds like overall the life's been pretty good, huh?
Yes, it has. It has. I can tell you about some experience in my younger years when I was when we lived in we were living in Bitter Creek, and we actually had to when we went back to Mississippi to visit my grandmother for the summers. We would first thing we rode the train. The first thing we did when we got off the train, she would meet us and take us home and go over all the rules of how you act in the South and what you could and couldn't do. And it was just, we weren't used to any of that being from out here. And we couldn't. She would actually tell us first of all, you make sure you say yes sir and no sir to any whites you see. And that was, if they spoke to you, you say yes sir or no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. You make sure you do that. And if you're walking on the sidewalk and they can't get by you, you step off the sidewalk and this kind of stuff. A lot of people think, oh yeah, right. But my grandmother, she's born and raised in the South, and she actually told all of us that these are the things we are not to make direct contact, eye contact with any whites on the streets, and these type of things. And not to go into certain restaurants. This is in the 50s, early 60s. This was in the South.
Civil rights
Yeah. So I did experience some of that stuff. Even though we left, we moved from Mississippi when I was 1, so I didn't live there long enough to, but we used to go back for each summer to stay with our grandmother, and so we experienced it then. And we were glad to get back home because it was a lot better out here.
Yeah, we've talked to, so many people, and the ones that I had never thought about before were the ones that came out of segregated schools in the South. and still young, then came here, and what a culture shock it was for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine.
What's your favorite memory?
My favorite memory, probably, oh, playing in my first band. We was called the Doctors of Funk, and it was probably one of my great times that I can remember.
How old were you when the Doctors of Funk started?
I was about 22.
Who else was in that band with you then?
My brother Ray, my sister Brenda, John Moore, and Lloyd Thomas, Cynthia Young. Who? Oh yeah, Mitch Teasley. It seemed like there was one more. No, not when we first got together. Mary was just, she was young. Like, years later we started using Isaac Gregory. Isaac Gregory, I think that's where they got it.
Just played in clubs around town?
Yeah, we played in Laramie once, and we played in Rock Springs a few times.
Do you have any worst memories? Everybody has those.
That'd probably be when my mom and dad were both sick and in the hospital.
At the same time?
Mm-hmm.
You're real active with Christ First Missionary right now. And what are you doing with them?
Well, I am, my title is Minister of Music there. It's like music director. I own the music department of the church. And we sing different events, and we go to the senior citizens places and sing. And we try to visit the sick, and we visit some of our older members, and we do fundraisers, and we try to work with our young people and give them other things to do besides the stuff that they can get into if we don't keep them occupied and keep their minds occupied and doing stuff. Try to work with them. And, community stuff, we try to do what we can in the community and just try to make a difference.
And with 2 jobs, I admire you very much for doing that. Something. Anything else you want to say or?
Well, I'm happy about what you guys are doing here. I'm glad that my son is part of it, and
You should be proud of him.
I am proud of him, even though he still makes me mad sometimes.
I'll be honest with you, when we first started out, you know, when he was missing a lot of the interviews because of choir, I was kind of angry. But then I discovered your choir and what it is like and what he's been doing, you know, and I think it was terrific. It takes education to change, you know, opinions.
I'm happy about that. I'm kind of disappointed with him in his grades. I know that he can do better in school, and he's very energetic kid. He likes to play a lot, but I'm happy and I'm proud of all my kids. I thank God that they all have done as well as they have. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that kids can get into today. I have 2 that's already graduated, thank God. Well, one that's graduated, one's about to get graduated. My oldest son, he's in the Marine Corps. He works at the Pentagon.
Wow.
And so I'm proud of my kids. And Talisha, you know, she's an honor roll student, has been since day one. I kept proud of her. And Desi and Angela, they do well. And I don't, my kids haven't really put me through any real hardships. I mean, I haven't had to go downtown for anything, and I'm happy about that. Close calls a few times for those stupid things done, but overall, I'm happy with my kids, and I'm happy with my life here in Casper. I mean, there's some good people in Casper. There's some good people in Wyoming. You get past all the junk, it's a nice state to live in.
You guys have anything more? Okay, that's it. Thank you very much, Greg.
You're welcome.
I'd like to get a picture of you three, if that's okay?
That was maybe positive, and I know I'm trying to be an extreme with that, but, so I always use that as kind of an analogy of what you have to, when you're doing any type of cross-cultural, outreach, that you have to realize that it may not be just, peaches and cream all the time.
You guys have done an excellent job in portraying what I believe was reality here, too. I remember one of Miss Hannah, 5th grade, had you come stand up in front of the Hill class and show how to pick cotton out of his bowl. I remember that. It's just such a very vivid memory to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had those experiences where you were just singled out, and then boom. And it got even different in junior high. We'll maybe get to that. But you asked about our mom and dad, what they were like.
Yeah, I want to know, after they got to cast, well, what did your mom do for those 2 years that your dad was up here?
She just more or less took care of, she was a homemaker.
I can tell you what, yeah, she was a homemaker, and I'll tell you what she did. She did what many, many other black peoples did down there. Worked in the fields, picking cotton, still picking cotton at that time. Picking cotton, picking beans, peanuts.
Field hand.
Field hand, any kind of farm, any kind of work like that, that's what she'd be doing. Or she would be, because we were living with my grandmother at the time, there would be, whites would come over with their laundry, and it would be, they'd wash it and iron it, these big baskets. Then they'd come back maybe a couple of days later and pick it up. She was helping my grandmother do that, and we were working in the fields. I was working in the fields at the age of 6 and 7 years old. This is what she was doing.
Okay, so they got to Casper. He had the job at the dry cleaners. Did she, with this huge family, obviously, she was very busy. Did she have to get a job too, or?
No,
okay.
she, during that time, in, the 60s and stuff, it was mostly, it was, one breadwinner, which was male, and the homemaker was the female. And that's pretty much what my mom did, which was a tremendous
We have found through this history project that many of the people who came to Casper in the 50s, both male and female, were sent into, in some kind of domestic help. Most of them.
You're talking about here in Wyoming, when they came up here. Yeah, well, you know what, that's true. The other men, my father's age, grown men who were providers and everything, they worked like, they cleaned buildings at night. I mean, there were no teachers, there were no doctors, there were no lawyers, there were no office professionals and things like that. No, they didn't sit in offices. They did, they worked with their hands. They did janitorial work was a big thing. A lot of them did that. My dad, he pressed clothes. But yeah, they were, it was manual labor, sure, in the lower occupations, sure it was.
So you went from Burlington then to, I got a lot of notes here, Beach Street. And is that where the family home is now, or?
Oh, well, yeah, my sister lives now in the house that we pretty much grew up in. Burlington, we didn't live there that long, so I consider really our home.
The reason we didn't live long in Burlington because that house was a storefront. That's all it was. It's converted to a house. It was sitting on a sand lot, and we were harassed by scorpions.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
gosh.
get scorpion bites.
And they
all
would
the
be
time.
all in the house. I remember one time we were laying there. I was laying on the floor watching TV, right? And we were all in that little room, the whole family. And I was lying there, and my father all of a sudden jumped up and he said, "Get up, get up, get up." And I didn't get up fast enough. He had to move over and knock me out of the way. There was this scorpion about that long that was making a beeline toward me. And that was just one of many experiences with the scorpions.
Mm.
That was one of the things that compelled my father to do.
Yeah.
One thing. The other was the fact that every time it rained, we get flooded. It's sitting there flat on the
Sinking a little bit. It was,
Yes.
and it was right next to the Burlington Railroad, right there. I mean, and
I
there
think they
were
built
no-
several houses like that or
Yeah,
did that,
it was-
because I know there's one next door to my mother's house that's
Yeah.
just sitting a lot
It
like
was
that. yeah.
really not a good place.
What was the cross street there, Burlington and what? Do you remember?
Let's see, what is that? Is Burlington? Well, it was just down from, what is that, McKinley?
McKinley.
Where the underpass is?
Yeah, McKinley.
So down and before you know, there was like Jackson Washington, Liberty there. There was like, what was it, Allied or Mayflower
Okay.
van lines. It
There were
just
both
right
of them.
before you
It was
got to
Mayflower
yeah.
and Allied. They were like across the street
Mhm.
from one another.
Great. You guys, I'm going to need to get these kids going in about 10 minutes here, so I'd like to, obviously, you have given us so much valuable and rich information, and I want to thank you for that. You obviously came from some of the most loving parents I've ever heard about. I want to know what happened to you. I mean, where did you wind up graduating from high school? What'd you do? Where'd you go to college? Anything?
Okay. All right. Let's see. After, you know, I went to Dean Morgan Junior High after school, and as Wario said, in that time they did those aptitude tests before you went to junior high. If you did well, then they put you in those sections, remember? And I was in a pretty advanced section, and so again, I was given a privy to really good education. It was actually the precursor to college prep. Actually I was getting. They didn't call it as such. And so, you know, I went to Dean Morgan, then I went to NC, and it was, you know, it was a real shaping of my life, because I thought at that time that people were kind of accepting us, or at least, you know, I had white friends. You know, we did pretty well. We did pretty well. After my 7th grade, I still kind of had a hard time in 7th grade because that was another transition as well. Because those kids that I was in class with, they were all from the south side of town. They were very rich, and that was another thing. You know, you first we had race, and then there's class. You know, we had to deal with that. But after the 7th grade, my 8th grade, 9th grade, I loved school.
Did you get involved in sports?
Yeah.
That we're finding that that's where the success key was to getting along. You know.
But for me, it was more. You know, also I was in student government too, and I was, you know, I found it as much in academics and my co-curricular activities as much as sports as well. But, you know, sports was a part of it. I played football and I played basketball and track and all of that. And then, like I said, I went to NC and I graduated in '73. And then I went my freshman year, University of Wyoming in Laramie. I did not like it there, to the point that I thought it was just a reiteration of high school, because there were so many people that I knew from NC and from Kelly Walsh that were there. It just didn't do anything for me. Plus, I'm just going to be honest, the proliferation of drinking and partying and all, because, you know, Laramie has that. Yeah, and it just wasn't working for me. I just didn't think that my grade point average had suffered. I think I had like a 2.8 or a 2.9, and
which is not failing by any means.
But that was, to me, not acceptable, because, you know, I had graduated from NC as a National Merit Scholar, and so I was kind of embarrassed that I had such a low GPA. So I transferred to the University of Northern Colorado, really, because I thought I wanted to get into teaching or education. And, you know, prior to its debacle, UNC in secondary education, it was considered the best in the country. So I went there and I graduated. I got a, then I changed actually in education. I went more into journalism, communication. I got a bachelor's of art in communication, and then I got a minor in journalism, and then I also finished a bachelor, a post-bac in what was called interpersonal communication. And then later on I went back and got my teacher's certification from there. And currently I'm working on a master's. I'm going to call it master's because it's an accelerated PhD program, but I can't look at it as getting a PhD. It's so far down the road. I just have to look at finishing the master's. I'll be finished with my master's in higher ed administration probably next summer, and then I'm going to enter the PhD program maybe, and if I'll finish that if I don't die.
That's one thing I've always wanted to do is go back and get a PhD. Are you a teacher? Have you been a teacher? Or?
Oh, I taught. My first teaching was up here. I taught at Dean Morgan. Let's see, what was that? 80, 81. Taught up there, and I got just a single year contract there, and I don't know. I've always jumped back from in education and journalism. For a while, I was a writer for a magazine in Denver, and then I was in public relations, and then I go back to education. So I've kind of done that. And let's see, now I work at the university. I work in the student affairs division at Colorado State University, and the assistant director of Black Student Services. And I teach a transition class. It's for freshmen and transfer students. It's kind of to give them the kind of the basic preparatory skills to be successful in college, like how to write a term paper or a research paper, which most cannot do, how to public speaking, just those basic
really
things that,
things,
yeah, regardless of your chosen discipline, you're going to need, right. And so that I teach one class a semester on that.
Wardell, what about you?
Me? Oh, well, I graduated, I graduated from Natrona County High School, 1966. Well, no, 1967. Yeah, and then I went on to Casper College. It was convenient, and but before I graduated from Natrona County High School, after I graduated, they had this college placement program right there in the high school, and I expressed an interest in going to Casper College, and this advisor advised me, well, you're not college material, and you should be looking for a job, maybe, and she was talking about the kind of jobs that might be available for me, and you can imagine what they were, right? So she made me angry, and I said, no, I want to go to college, right? And she didn't express any faith that I could pass the placement exam. So I took it anyway. I said, look, it's my choice. I said, I get a chance to take it. Let me fail it first instead of telling me that I'm not going to make it. So I took it and scored very high, very high. Then I came back and showed her the results defiantly. Anyway, I went to Casper College, and I graduated from there in 1970. There was a graduating class of about over 600. I was a lone black person. And I think shortly after that I had my feel of this place. I think I really grew disenchanted with Casper. So I left. I spent a few years wandering here and there. I lived in St. Paul, Minneapolis. I even went back to Mississippi. And, well, I didn't stay there very long. I left Mississippi, and I was on my way back to St. Paul, or either here, I ran into a cousin, and he convinced me to come out to Philadelphia. And I went out there, and that was in 1971. At that time, I only had 2 years of college. 2 years at Casper College. It wasn't a 4-year institution. I don't think it still is. But anyway, make it short to say, from you know, I spent years working for various places. I was bent on getting a degree, at least a bachelor's degree, and I'd go to school, take a few classes, and I wouldn't continue, and you know, it wasn't until I was age 35 that I finally got my bachelor's degree. Okay, and by that time I was working with the government, Department of Defense, and they had this educational program whereby they would reimburse you for courses. They encouraged education, especially in business area. So I used them to get my bachelor's degree, and I got that in 1985, and then thereafter I took a few graduate courses, and that's about it. And right now I'm still working for the Department of Defense, and I'll probably be working there until I retire. At this moment, I'm undecided as to whether or not I want to seek any additional education. I kicked around the idea of getting a master's. I'm still, as of yet, undecided.
Where'd you go to Temple?
Yeah, I went to Temple University. That's where I got my undergrad degree. And
You guys, like I said, I need to be getting these kids
Okay.
home. I've had them out on quite a while. But what I want to tell you is I need to still follow through on brothers and sisters and kids in the family and all that kind of thing.